Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a series I haven't updated in a while called When It's Over, It's Over. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and as they talk about it, I'm going to give my take. All right, let us begin.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Leah Arends and Barry Arends. I understand you're about to get a divorce and you need the assistance of this court. For what purpose, Miss Arends? Am I pronouncing your name right?
Arns.
Arends.
The purpose, Your Honor, is the whole entire marriage. Through this whole entire thing, he's done nothing but lie to me. He didn't tell me he was going to Korea until 2 days after we got married.
Told you he was going to Korea two days after we got married?
Your Honor, that's not true. I was
What is he?
driving.
Well, hold on a second. You're in the military?
He's military, Your Honor. He's Army.
2 days after marriage, you told your wife you were scheduled to go to Korea.
Your Honor, that's not true. We had a couple weeks before I had to go,
No.
and
she said we got
I didn't
married.
force her. I didn't force her to marry me.
Well, no
I'm
one
married.
forces anybody to marry them.
You know, she didn't have to. Put herself in this position if it was going to hurt herself. I'm not here to hurt anybody.
You made promises to me.
And what promises are those?
You told me that everything was going to be okay. You didn't tell me that you were going to Korea until 2 days after we got married, which, first of all, I'm expecting, okay, I'm going to marry this guy. He's going to be there for me. We're going to have everything, and everything's going to be fine. Then 2 days after we get married, you told me you're going to Korea. Everything that I had thought before I married you totally got screwed up.
All right, let me say this. This goes for both men, mainly for men, but also goes for ladies too. Before you marry someone, both people need to put their cards on the table. Both people need to let people know what's going on, what's happening, what's going to be, and everything, and be upfront and honest with each other before you decide to. And it sounds like to me, from what she's saying, it sounds like it was some type of miscommunication. Either he really did, either she did find out and say he had to leave in a couple of days, or either he told her he was leaving soon, and she obviously didn't hear it. But it sounds like to me, in this part here, it sounds like a miscommunication or misunderstanding. Miscommunication between these two. All right, let's continue.
Now, Miss Arends, you married him and thought everything was going to be fine and he's going to be there for
I
me.
thought he was going to be there financially.
Let me ask you this question.
All right.
Did you know this man was in the Army?
I knew he was in the Army, yes. And I knew
And
that
did
there
you
was...
not know that the Army sends people anywhere they want to send them?
Yes, but I didn't know it was going to be that soon, and I figured that I'd have a chance to at least, reconcile or get into this marriage. And
Why
have
did
a
you
chance with
figure
him.
that?
I didn't know he was going to Korea. I figured, okay, I've met a man who's going to be able to financially support me and my 6-year-old, who's going to,
So you,
All right, let me say this. Yeah, that's the thing is when you whether you're a man or a woman, if you're a man in the service and you marry a woman, she has to know and understand that sometimes you can get called and deployed for service at any time. And the same thing goes when a man marries a woman that's in the service. If she's active member in the service, and y'all get married, she can be called or deployed, to be moved to another base or move to go on a mission overseas somewhere at any time. So you gotta keep that in mind when you marry someone that's in the military. But I suggest that if you're not used to that or if you don't think you can handle that, then I don't think you should do it. And personally, it's okay to have a boyfriend or girlfriend in the service, but if you're really active in the service and you're being deployed different places, this is my opinion, I don't think you should get married. Not until you come out the service or at least not, active duty or where you don't get called or deployed. That's just my opinion on that. All right, let's continue.
you had a 6-year-old
I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old little girl.
and you saw a nice meal ticket.
Yeah. I saw something.
Did you hear that? Hey, I hope everybody heard that. See, like when she married this guy, she wasn't really marrying him out of love. She seemed like she was marrying, like I said, as I said before. And some people, when they get married, they don't marry out of love. Sometimes they marry for convenience, just to say they marry, or they marry for financial stability, just so that way they can have someone to come alongside them to help them with their bills and finances. Just to, and for the status to say I'm married, I got a husband, and also to help, the load. And some people just, and like to say, a lot of course we see a lot of rich couples and stuff, or people marry, out of money. Some people say, hey, he has a lot of money, so she said, well, let me get with him. I'll marry him because he has a lot of money. He helped take care of me, give me a lifestyle that I probably can't give myself. All right, let's continue.
You answered it. They usually say the first thing out your mouth is the truth.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And
People ask me all the time, Chris, if you could only take one supplement for the rest of your life, which one would it be? The answer is easy: Redwood.
you were so excited about that. Let me just ask you a simple question. What stopped you from asking him, was he going to be sent to another city, another state, or did he have any papers that were sending him away?
Well, Your Honor, I already knew that the military, they do get deployed quite often.
Right.
But I know that, he said, well, there's field problems they go to for a month at a time, but not a year. A year in Korea, I'm not going to put my life on hold for a whole year.
Well, suppose it would have happened 4 years into the marriage. Any difference?
No, because then I would have been able to sit there and say, hey, I already know this man, then I can commit myself to him. Since he was leaving so quickly, I already knew that I wasn't going to feel comfortable with him being gone. I already knew that...
All right, let me say this real quick before she continues. This is that's why I said I made the suggestion that should get married, because a lot of times, especially when you're a newlywed couple, when you get married and the person's going to get deployed and go overseas, they're going to be gone maybe about a year or so, like that. There's sometimes things like this happens. They tend to can't take it or whatever, and then they would end up leaving. Or if they do stay in a marriage, they might end up end up messing around while you're gone. Especially if you're gone for a long time, like you're gone overseas for about a year or so, like that. Then it's a possibility that if you're a man, you're in the military and you go overseas, and you're gone for a year, it's a likely chance your wife might, mess around on you, might cheat on you while you're going overseas, being deployed to service. And it's a story that I saw not too long ago. If I see if I get a hold of the video, I'll probably do a commentary on it, where a woman is married to a man, they had kids, and he went overseas, and she started messing around with another man. Kind of found the man she was messing around with was related to her husband, and she didn't know it. But that's another story for another time. But this could also happen, and vice versa too. If a woman, you're in the service, you marry a man, you go overseas for a year, it's a good chance, a likely chance your husband might mess around here. And yes, I've heard stories where, especially if you're on base, that if a person goes overseas, then the wife might tend to mess around with another officer that's on base there, or if the wife goes overseas and the husband's here, it's a likely chance he might mess with another woman, especially if they're on base, and mess with a woman on base while she's overseas. So that's why I suggest that if you're getting deployed and stuff like that overseas, it's probably best not to get married. It's my take on it. All right, let's continue.
Him leaving I wasn't going to be able to stay committed. I already knew that in my mind.
Well, Mrs. Arns,
But
When
I
he
didn't.
left, you knew that you weren't going to be able to stay committed. Sounds like to me you should have known that before you married a man in the military, because you knew that possibility was always there that he may be sent away.
See, for a month or so, that's fine.
But you didn't know how long. You never know how long the military is going to send someone away.
Maybe I didn't know enough about the military.
You knew enough to know that he may get sent away, and he had absolutely no control over how long or when. And you said to yourself you knew that you couldn't be committed. So why'd you marry a military man?
I mean, I could have been committed if I was with him long enough, but just for the 2 weeks.
That's BS. That is total BS. If you marry someone, and if they gone for a year or whatever, if you truly love them, care about them, you could be committed. I know it might be hard, might be difficult, might be tempted and everything, but if a person truly wants to be committed to you, they can be committed to you. If a man truly wants to be committed to a woman, he can be committed to the woman. And vice versa. One want to be committed to man, she be committed to the man. So, like I said, she didn't marry out of love, she married out of stability. And the man went overseas or whatever, and she knows he's going to be gone a while, so this was her excuse to want to mess around. All right, let's continue.
I mean, not telling me till 2 days after and then only being there for another 12 days, then being shipped off to Korea. I didn't have time to get to know my husband. When he was gone for that whole year, I had nobody there for me. I took care of his kids when their mother was sick. I mean, I didn't even get a wedding ring from him, Your Honor.
All right, let me say this as well, too. That's why I always suggest to people that don't, if you're going to marry someone, I think you should at least, this is my opinion, you should at least date a person at least a minimum of 2 years or so. A man and a woman should at least be together. Y'all should be in a long-term relationship for at least 2 years or more. Or at least a minimum of 2 years, I say. Because I say within 2 years, I think if you date someone in a serious committed relationship, pretty much within 2 years, you'll know that person well enough to know whether this is someone that you want to marry and be with or not. She would know if he's the type of man that she wants to be committed and married to long term. And the man also, if he is in a committed relationship with a woman for at least about a minimum of 2 years, that will give him enough time to let him know whether this is the type of woman that he wants to be with and whether he should marry. So keep that in mind for you ladies, guys, ladies and gentlemen who are single, and if you are dating and getting a committed relationship with someone, y'all should at least be together at least a couple of years, at least 2 years or so, before you both decide to if you're going to get married to each other. All right, let's continue.
She's saying that you didn't tell her until after the marriage.
That is not true. Why would I want to propose to her and then tell her? She knew that I was getting ready to go to trip.
Maybe you wanted to have somebody back here waiting for you. Why? That's why you did it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Maybe you said, why would I propose to her knowing that I'm going to the military? I said, maybe it's because you wanted to have someone here waiting for you.
Somebody to take care of all his stuff while he was gone.
Why
no one to take care of his kids.
I fell in love with this woman. And I asked her to marry me for a reason.
And what was that?
Because I fell in love with her. It just happened. I can't explain to people. Yes, everything it seemed rushed and stuff like that. But we had just enough time.
Let me say this. And see, that's how I think, too. A lot of times you can be with somebody, you could be in love, or as they say, head over heels for a person, both man or woman. But you still take your time to get to know them. You don't rush into anything, because when you rush into things like this end up happening. Now, in not all cases, but the majority of cases. I mean, there are some cases where people fall in love instantly, they rush, they get married, and they end up staying together for a long time. Yes, that does happen sometimes, but it's very rare. It's a very small percentage, very small case. But in most cases, when people, quote unquote, fall in love and they get committed and they rush to get married, a lot of times, most of the time, it ends up not working out. All right, let's continue.
to get feelings out and to do all this. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody.
When did you start dating? How long did you date before you married?
It was probably within 2 to 3 month period.
Oh,
off and
excuse
on.
me. No,
It
we went
was-
on 4 dates.
You
One,
went on
two,
4
three,
dates?
4.
I understand it
Okay,
sounds...
hold on a second. You went on 4 dates.
4 dates.
Over what period of time?
Over like 2 weeks before he asked me to marry him.
So, Ms.
Whoa, that is way too soon. 4 dates, 2 weeks, not even a month. You barely know a person. So you barely even know a person within 2 weeks. Then you rush to marry the person. That's why I say you gotta take your time, get to know somebody before you rush in to get married to them. All right, let's continue.
Ours, don't you bear some responsibility
Yes,
for
I do.
not
Yes,
taking
I do.
control of
But
your life?
I was in a hard position in my life at that time,
Mhm.
And there
and I
it
had
goes.
my son that I was raising,
Uh-huh.
and I needed to get up to eat. And I saw a man. He was sincere
Saw a
at the
meal
time,
ticket,
honest,
And you didn't worry
You know,
about
to be
where the
honest-
meal ticket was going to take you at that time.
To be
as long
honest,
as you was going
yeah.
to get.
Yeah.
And you gotta hit, and like I say, you got to, as I say, anybody, man or woman, you gotta look out for the red flags. And like I say, the only reason she married this man, she didn't love him or care about him. She looked at him as a meal ticket. She looked at him as someone she'd come along, marry, and help her with her family. She had already had kids. There's something wrong with marrying someone with a child or with kids. There's nothing wrong with that. But you, like I say, you have to really get to know the person to see what they're about, see what their motives is. That's why I always say, as I said before, I say, yeah, that's why you at least got to be with a person. At least I say at least a good 2 years to really know the person, to know if you want to settle down and marry a person, to really know what they're about, really know what they like, what they don't like, the do's and don'ts, the deal breakers, etc., etc. And you don't learn that within a couple of weeks. You learn that over time. At least, like I said, at least a year, a couple of years or so, being with the person, being around a person, how you interact and everything like that. Those things take time. All right, let's continue.
For 2 weeks, 4 days. So it seems to me that you weren't being real honest with him about why you were marrying him. You weren't in love with him.
He knew.
No, I did
You
not.
knew.
I did
You
not.
knew my
I would not
situation.
ask you. Yes, I knew somewhat of your
Exactly.
situation, but you knew some of my
You were able to
situation.
accept that.
So you told him, I don't love you.
I told him I don't love you.
The
Your Honor,
I mean,
that
Your
is
Honor,
not-
look at
Your
us.
Honor,
We're two
that is
different
not
people.
true.
He's 5'1". I'm 5'9". I have a pride thing
And
going
there's
on here.
another
Okay.
cheap shot.
And let me say this too. Come on, lady. You see that you taller than him. Okay, he's 5'1" and what? She's 5'9". Okay, what you thought he was going to grow some more? You knew the man. You knew that when you met the man. You knew the man was shorter than you. What you thought he was going to have a growth spurt? If you know you didn't like a man shorter than you should have never married him. But you was just out of desperation and wanted to marry the man, just so you could use him. That's why you ended up marrying him. And I guess him, being, say, desperate and looking for love, the first woman that came along, that he liked it, he just fell head over heels for her, and he just fell in love with her. So I'm just, like I said, I'm hoping, people will look at this and really taking this in and really take into consideration what's going on here, because that's the reason I do these videos, to try to educate people and show people, the do's and don'ts, what to do, what not to do, and hopefully, that you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, don't end up in a situation like this, or if you have friends or loved ones who so they don't end up in a situation like this. And that's the reason why I do these videos, so people can see, so I can give my perspective, so so they can know what's going on and they can show this to other people, so hopefully they don't succumb to situations and circumstances like this. All right, let's continue.
I have a pride thing going on here. It's like Sonny and Cher. Did they make it? No.
Oh, here we go. Your Honor.
Oh, now, Ms.
Your
it's
Honor.
like Sonny and Cher,
Your
did they
Honor.
make it? Don't even make
Look
the
at us.
comparison.
We're totally
Your-
opposite.
You don't.
Your
Why are you
Honor.
telling me to look at you? You should have looked at him before you married him. Why ask me to look at him? I didn't marry him.
Your Honor,
You didn't know that you was 8 inches taller than him when you married him?
I didn't think much of it. I thought, okay, he's a sweet guy. I can deal with this. It's it's kind of like the inner beauty. Never judge a book by its cover. That's how I was feeling.
So why are you judging the book by the cover now? Saying, look at us, we're 8 inches
to me the
apart.
whole entire time.
what did I lie to you about?
In October.
What did I lie to you about?
Who called me up saying, you helped me pay $400? Will you help me pay $400
Out of my
child support?
check.
No, out of my money. That
Out of
came
my
out of my.
check.
All right, let me say this as well too. Just my opinion, my circumstances. Never. It's a verse in the Bible. I think it's Proverbs 21:7. I think it says, "Better to dwell in the wilderness than to on the rooftop of the house with an arguing, brawling woman." And that's what she seems to be like. I think it's Proverbs 21:7 or chapter 7, verse 21. I really don't have it in front of me right now. But, yeah. And like I said, a lot of times when people fall in love, not only just men, but women as well, that we tend to overlook the red flags. And he seemed like he was so head over heels in love with this woman that he overlooked a lot of red flags with this woman. And it seemed like she kind of overlooked a lot of red flags too. And mainly, like I said, she really wasn't looking for love. She was more looking for, as the judge said, looking for a meal ticket. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be careful out here when you're choosing a soulmate and who you choose to be with and marry and settle down with. Take your time. All right, let's resume. Let's continue.
My money. No, I didn't have
Stop
access to
the
a check.
bickering.
Your Honor,
No, he didn't. He may not have told you he was going to Korea 2 days after the wedding. But
wasn't
Ms.
happening.
Arons, I'm just going to be blunt with you. You knew what you were getting into, and you knew that there was a possibility that you'd be left alone.
When Divorce Court returns, Leah breaks down as she testifies about her kids.
I was having problems going with custody with my daughter, trying to take care of his kids, trying to survive financially, him lying to me.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Leah Arons, who is divorcing her husband Barry because she says he's too short, too obnoxious, and she doesn't love him.
So you ready for the marriage to end? He's back now.
Yeah, he's back now, but everything that's gone through with the marriage. Okay, first of all, Your Honor, like I said, in October, he had called me up and asked me to pay $400 because his ex-wife was calling me, harassing me.
His ex-wife was
His
calling.
ex-wife was
Did you know
calling
he
me,
had an
harassing me.
ex-wife?
Yeah, I knew he had an ex-wife, but I didn't know she was. the
Did
way
you know
she
he
is.
had kids?
Yeah, I knew he had 2 kids.
So did you know there's a possibility he would have to pay support to somebody else?
Yes, but I didn't know he was in back child support. He had
Didn't ask him that
missed
either.
2 months of child support. His ex-wife
Your
kept
Honor,
calling
I can
me.
explain
His
all-
ex-wife kept calling
Hold on
me
a second.
and told me to pay he called me up and asked me, will you pay this for me? And I said, yes, I'll pay the $400.
See, let me say this before they continue. This is why I'll say this is why it's so important to really get to know a person before you jump into anything. And this guy was already married once, so he should have been, before he even thought about remarrying, he should have took some time to himself to get himself together, focus on his life, help raise his children and everything before he rushed in, before he ran off and rushed into another marriage. And that goes for anybody that's, been married once, before you, there's nothing wrong, before you jump into getting married again, at least take your time and get to know the person, know who you're dealing with, know who they are before you jump into another marriage with them, with another person. Because if not, then you're going to end up in a situation, something similar like this man is going through right now. All right, let's continue.
Child support for you, and I took it out of my son's money that I had saved up for him and
What
paid
did you
that
do with
child
my
support
check?
for him.
Wait a minute.
I didn't have access to your bank account until November, so don't even go there.
So in October,
No, Your Honor.
Don't even go there.
Before I left Korea, I had everything arranged for her. She had my house, she had the car, she had everything. She
had
was
a bank
on my
account too?
account. She
I
was
was
on my
not.
account.
He didn't
She
put me
had
on
an
his account until November,
ATM
Your
card.
Honor.
She had full
Prove it.
access.
so you
didn't
left
put
an
me on his
ATM
account.
card and the bank. She was on the bank account before you went to Korea.
If she wasn't on my account by November, I left to Korea in September. I had to have her on my account because they don't do transactions overseas.
Korea's a day ahead of us, so he's able to get the money out before I am.
Your Honor.
So
Your
now
Honor.
you're saying he took the money out once he put it in.
No,
Your
no.
Honor.
But what happens is the bank, it gets transacted to the bank from
Right.
the military, so
I
he doesn't
understand,
get an
direct
actual
deposit.
check. Yeah, it goes direct deposit.
That's what he
So
said.
he had an ATM card, and when I'd go in to get money, I'd barely have enough to survive.
Excuse me, Your
So
Honor.
you're saying the money went to the bank account, but he would withdraw it over in Korea.
Your Honor.
Yes.
That is
and he couldn't
false.
tell me where the money was coming, where
Your
it was
Honor,
going.
I did not try to put her in a position to, oh, here you go, and I'm going to give you a crappy life. That is not true at all. I fell in love with this woman. I love this woman with all my heart and soul.
And you still
if
love
she
her, don't
can't,
you?
yes, I do, Your Honor. If she can't see how much I do love her,
I grew up always on the bigger side as a kid. I was always slightly thicker.
I got all these letters. I did not screw around. I went to Korea. I did my job. I wrote her what I was doing. I told her how much I loved her. I did everything I could do to try to give her, a
I
good
took
life.
care of his kids when his wife was sick, okay? I had problems. I had custody battle with my daughter, okay? And I was having problems going with custody with my daughter, trying to take care of his kids, trying to survive financially, him lying to me.
What did I lie to you about?
Telling his ex-wife that he made a mistake by marrying me. He thinks I'm crazy and he shouldn't have married me.
That's
Telling
not
his
true
kids
at
not
all.
to talk to
Your
me.
Honor, that
Well,
is
I'm
not
trying to
true
find
at all.
out the money that you paid out. Did you ever get it back out of the account?
And let me say this. I'm kind of, inclined to believe him. And sometimes because the woman says, his ex-wife said that, doesn't make it necessarily true. The ex-wife could be mad and upset and jealous, so she probably will say anything to you just so you get mad and upset, just so things don't work out. So saying go misery loves company. So she probably was mad at the fact that they broke up, they didn't work out. So he moved on, found another woman. So she probably went and tried to sow discord between him and her, so that way she could try to come between them and tear their marriage up. That's just my opinion on that. All right, let's continue.
No, what, the money that I paid, the $400? No,
Yes.
I did. Well, I mean, I got it to pay for food and gas and everything else in the car and to pay the phone bill and the cable bill, but I
But
never
you
had
never
any
got
money back
reimbursed the
to give.
$400.
Yeah.
Your Honor, yes, granted, things happen. It seemed fast and everything like that, but I did fall in love with her, and I love her still. I love her as we speak right
You
now.
love me. You
Miss
wouldn't have
Arns.
left me with all these responsibilities, creditors calling me, telling me that I
Listen.
owe them money because you didn't pay
Listen.
off loans before you went to Korea.
Listen, you have
If you
loans
love me,
too.
you wouldn't. No.
You have bills too.
And what I had to do, I had to file bankruptcy.
Well,
Huh.
Well, Miss
listen.
Arns, it sounds like you
Who's
just.
got the bills? You do.
We all have bills.
No, but
That's-
he leaves them with me. Doesn't tell me about any of these, Your Honor. None of them. He didn't tell me about none of them. I
What
have these
about, and
people
you said
harassing
something
me. I
about
have
his
ex-wife
children?
Yes.
What about his children?
His children, his ex-wife, she's always sick and always laying on the couch and lazy, strictly lazy, does not take care of those kids. Me thinking I'm going to stay with this man, decide, agree to watch over these kids
So
during
the
certain
kids came
times.
to live with you?
No, they didn't come to live with me. They'd come over for like 5-6 days at a time, every other weekend, whatever. Majority of their time would be with me because their mother was laying on the couch being lazy.
So you have to take care of his children too?
Yes, I
How
took
many
care of his
children?
kids. He had 2.
What does that have to do with the $1,000 or whatever amount of money? What amount of money are you talking about?
All right, let me say this. Well, what she should know and understand when you marry someone, when you marry someone and they have children, it's a package deal. Same way you want him to love and help take care of your children, you have to love and accept his children as well. And I hate to say this, but it's true. Not in all cases, but in most cases, it seems like a lot of times if a man has children and by a woman, he gets with a new woman, it's kind of hard or kind of tough for the woman to accept his children or really want to deal with his children that he had with another woman. Now, a lot of times with men, men are more inclined to accept the deal with a woman and her kids by another man, but when it comes to a man having kids by another woman, not all women, of course, but a lot of women have trouble with that, with taking care or loving and caring for his children that he had by another woman. All right, let's continue.
Your
That you spend
Honor.
on the kids.
I have an itemized statement right here of what I figure that he owes me. $400 paid for the child support. Also, I estimate taking them to indoor play places, ice skating, lakes, circuses, and I bought him Christmas and birthday presents when he didn't. I tell the kids that they were from his pa. They'd complain, why hasn't Papa sent me a birthday present, blah, 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 blah. I have to tell them that the present was from him. I went out with my own money and
So
bought
what's the
these
total
gifts.
you want back for that?
Well, I'd say about around $100 for the clothing I bought for the kids when their mother didn't send them with any. $200 I'm asking for, activities $100, $200 for the clothing, and around $300 for the care that I provided for those kids.
So you think he should reimburse you for taking care of his children?
Yes, I do.
What are those envelopes you have?
These are my letters, Your Honor,
My letters.
that I wrote to her while I was in Korea.
So
It's
maybe
my
both
heart
of you
and
wrote letters
soul.
to each other. Did
We
you
did.
not?
It's
Your
like
Honor.
this is part of, this is the whole relationship. This is what I've been
Exactly.
doing in
Nobody else is
Korea.
going to see it because they're going back to me. They're mine.
So those are letters that you wrote to her
Yes.
and letters that she wrote to you.
No.
Oh, they're all letters you wrote to her?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you have them? If
He
you wrote
took
them to
them.
her.
I had them in a little letter holder at the house, and he took them one day. I was on the phone, and I looked over, and the letters were gone.
Why did you have her letters?
Because they are the relationship. They're from, what I wrote to her. My feelings, everything.
Did you send them to her?
Yes, I did,
Are
Your
they
Honor.
addressed to her?
Yes, they are, Your Honor.
So now why are they in your possession?
Because I took them.
And you think you're entitled to them?
Why would she want something that she doesn't even have any feelings or anything like that? Why did she want them?
I don't know why she wants them, but you addressed them to her. You wrote them to her. But I do have a question from Ms. Arns. Why do you want them?
Your Honor, there's a lot of stuff in the letters. Intimacy, a lot of intimate moments. There's stuff about what I did to him
Oh, letters
In
that he wrote
March.
describing conduct.
in March, what I had done in the relationship.
You don't have to describe it. I'll be back and I'll take a break and make a decision.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
You saw a beautiful woman, but you didn't look at the big picture.
And an update on the case of Elizabeth Leyva versus Richard Leyva.
Oh, he thinks he's Mr. Macho Man. She liked to talk about our sex life with her family.
Richard,
I'm
I'm
gonna
belt you in the mouth in a minute.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court is back, and the verdict is in the case of Leah Arends, who is divorcing her husband Barry after only a year because she says she never loved him.
This case is really interesting because of the fact that it just shows us how two people marry without thinking about what they're doing and without thinking about the persons that they're marrying.
All right, let me say this for the judge continues. That's, like I say, I reiterated before I reiterate again. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but this is why it's important to really take your time to get to know the person. So, cousin, one of my older cousins told me this years ago, and I still keep it in mind. When you in a relationship or even before you marry someone, you need to see that person as in all seasons. You need to see them through the not only just through the good times, but the bad times, through the heartache, through the pain, everything. You know how we have seasons like spring, summer, fall, and winter. You need to go through all seasons with the person, to see how they really are. And that's why I say at least a minimum of 2 years. This is way with 2 years, you both can see, you've seen at least enough of each other to know whether you want to move forward and marry a person. And you get to find out whether the person really loves you, really don't love you, whether they really care about you, don't care about you, things, of that nature. So I just hope everybody take note and understand that this is, what you have to do. So hopefully you don't end up in situation circumstance like this couple is. You hear? All right, let us continue.
And the circumstances and looking at the big picture. Based upon your statements, Ms. Arns, all you really saw and all you really paid attention to was the fact that you were going to get some support and assistance with your 6-year-old child, and that was, interesting to you, and that's where you were in your life at that point. You needed the help, and you saw a man that was willing to provide it, and you accepted it, but you didn't look at the big picture. You too have to look at the big picture. You saw a beautiful woman, but you didn't look at the big picture. Will this woman be loyal? Will she be faithful? Will she be committed? Can I stand it? Being away from her, etc. That's what marriage is. Not a fling, not lust, not excited over somebody's bodies. Bodies fade. And you don't take care of somebody's children and say, I love them, and then say, but I want to be reimbursed for the money I spent on them. You were willing to allow Mr. Arns to spend his money on you and your child, which was not his child, but you didn't want to spend yours on his children. That's not fair. Not.
Let me say this before she continue. That should be a major red flag. Both, not only just for a woman, but for a man as well, too. If a man gets with a woman and a woman acts like she doesn't want to be bothered with your child or your kids, that should be a major red flag. And the same thing goes for ladies too, because I know some ladies that date a man and she might have a child by another man. A lot of times a man might not want to embrace that child or be bothered with that child because that's not his child. That is a major red flag. That is something that both men and women, y'all both need to look for. If you're dealing with someone like that and you have a child and that person is willing not to love and respect and want to be bothered with your child, then you need to leave that person alone. That goes for both men and women. That is a major red flag. And that's something that you should definitely look out for, because if not, then a lot of times, especially if they're young children, especially if they're young kids, young children, that's where abuse, because you're not careful, you're not around, the person could do something to your child, hit your child, smack your child, beat your child, abuse your child, talk to your child in any kind of way, both men and women. And even some cases, God forbid, even touch your child inappropriately or sexually abuse your child. So that is something that we all, people all need to think about. All right, let us resume. Let us continue.
Not at all. Again, part of that big picture. They're going to come over sometimes. I'm going to have to take them out, spend some money on them. I'm not going to reimburse you for that. Now, the money for the child support is a different story. She has no obligation to pay your child support from a previous relationship. That's your responsibility. What the court's going to order, Mr. Arns, is for you to reimburse Mrs. Arns $300 for the support money she paid to your ex-wife. The love letters. I suggest the letters should be destroyed.
As long as
you have a problem with that?
No, as long as they're not in his hands, Your Honor.
Get the letters, Joe, please. Mr. Arns, you're going to be mad at me now. In about a year or two, you're going to call me up and thank me, because you don't want to keep reading those letters to be reminded of the pain. That's the order of the court. Court's adjourned.
All rise.
All right, that is basically it. And that's another thing, too. Like you said, when you have love letters or whatever, you're not with the person anymore, it's best to just Don't need to keep them, reminisce and everything. Just like the judge did the right thing. Take the letters from them, destroy the letters, and move on with your life, and that be the end of it. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. Uh, don't forget to, if it's your first time here, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on the videos. Like, comment, subscribe, share. All right, and until the next time, take care. God bless you all, and peace.